I can remind you to do it again. We I got that's okay. Yeah, we can combine the two. Yeah, that's I get out of the house. How I'm feeling today.
How you doing, young man? Wear the right colors. Yeah, my wife loves
My kid. Little girl. He's like all this stuff and she's going to this none of them not when my mom told me, you know what, girl, I don't think I'm off to her. I don't know what day day. I forced it. I'm so tired. I don't know, but we are glad that we're starting Monday. Yeah.
How are you?
He said, he goes, I feel like I was back in school when you had the long break, but then you have to go back. I got
18 years old. They gave guns. Yeah.
I know, that's so you're gonna have some here, yeah. You should. That's why I did the same thing.
You guys are in the back. I'll make sure. I got all the a little bit.
Is there a fan?
I was like, he's gonna win some. He didn't want me to do it. He didn't tell me that. Oh, yeah. I'm like, I'm sitting here seeing myself. I can hold that longer.
I don't know.
Hey, Deja.
Yeah, we met.
She said I was better.
I agree.
You know Jimmy?
I haven't had the pleasure.
Dalen, pleasure to meet you.
First name?
Dalen, pleasure to meet you. Nice to meet you as well.
Who's your history?
I'm not really sure right now. Mr. Seth? I had him last year. He is, he's very nice. He's one of my favorite teachers. Yeah, so I've taken all of my law school projects.
Call the 2025 Gloucester Township Reorganization meeting to order. Everyone, please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The special meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using an electronic amplifying and recording device, and in order to obtain an audible clear record, we request that all those speaking be recognized and state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device is to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of the minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. We will now swear in Gloucester Township Council member Helen Albright Troxel. And my family, please come up. We're just gonna sit there. I can't touch them. I'll touch fire.
One on each side. Which hand do you want?
First of all, Helen, thank you very much for asking me to do this. This is a tremendous honor.
Thank you.
I practiced all day, but I'm not going to risk it. So please raise your right hand and with your left hand touch the Bible and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Helen Albright Johnson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Jersey,
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And I do further solemnly swear
And I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of a council member
all the duties of a council member
in the Township of Gloucester
in the Township of Gloucester
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I just want to say a few words because I see a mic and I can't help myself. But it is a joy to be on council in Gloucester Township again. This is a wonderful town. We have done so much under our mayor, David Mayer, and new and creative ideas are happening all the time in this town. As we grow, our ideas are growing also, and I'm very proud to be part of it. And thank you all for coming. God bless each and every one of you.
Roll call, Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Ms. Grace Love. Present. Mr. Mercado,
Present.
Mr. Mignon,
Here.
Mr. Nash.
Here.
Mrs. Walters. Here. Mrs. Winters.
Here.
We'll now open nominations for President of Council.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to nominate Councilman Orlando Mercado for President of Council.
Is there a first?
I'll first. I'll second it.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so nominations are closed.
I make a motion to close nominations.
Okay, I'll second. Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Ms. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Is there a motion for nomination for vice president?
I'd like to nominate, Councilman, Michael Minio for vice president. And I would like to second that nomination.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Mercado,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Council President Mercado will now be sworn in by Congressman Donald Norcross.
Yeah, you've done this. I state your name.
I, Orlando Mercado,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of
of
the United States
the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
I will bear true faith
I will bear true faith
and
and
allegiance to the same
allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
governments
in
established
the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And that I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of Council President
as Council President
in the Township of
of
Gloucester
the Township of Gloucester
according to the best of your
to
abilities.
the best of my abilities.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And Mayor will be swearing in Vice President Michael Minio.
Yeah, this is.
Sure.
So, Michael, just like Dan, I spent all day studying as well. But unlike him, I actually memorized it. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Michael Minio,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I further solemnly swear
I further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all of my responsibilities
all of my responsibilities
as Council Vice President
as Council Vice President
in the Township of Gloucester
in the Township of Gloucester
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
We are joined today by Congressman Norcross, Assemblyman Hutchinson, and also Mayor Mayer. Mayor, is there a few words you'd like to say, or Congressman Norcross, before we take a 5-minute recess?
The state assembly was first, right?
First of all, Happy New Year's, congratulations. Forgive my voice. It's tough to do your job when you have no voice, and I'm trying to get over it. As we know, as we come off the holiday season, and certainly the new year gives us a chance to reflect on who we are as a nation and certainly where we are when it comes to family. And I just want to thank all those who are serving as public servants, because quite often these are missed days at home with your family, with your loved ones. And it truly is something that is what John McCain used to say, something greater than yourself, and that is to serve the public. Yes, they might be up there, but they represent each and every one of you. I literally am going to leave here in about 3 minutes to jump on a train because I get sworn in tomorrow into one of 435, which is the greatest honor of my life. And then we'll all come together on the 20th where we will have a peaceful exchange of power, where one president, literally the most powerful person in the world, steps down and the next president begins. Whether you voted for him or not, whether you voted for the people up here or not, we now put politics aside and come together as one nation. And only through doing that will we continue to be that greatest nation in the world. So to the mayor and all those, even in the assembly, as we used to say, I just want to share one more thing. Now, you might have remembered that Dave worked for Rob Andrews. And if you worked for Rob Andrews, you would say the pledge exactly how he did, 25 years ago when you were doing it. It's great to see that continuation of public service. Everybody have a wonderful, enjoyable year and stay healthy. Thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Happy New Year. You look good. Yep, you look good. Thank you, sir.
Happy New Year.
Secretary of State. It's all like, I'm getting sick. I'm gonna pay one. Hello, hello, Happy New Year. You don't have to. Let me tell you something. Back in the 60s, we had riots. Shoot He's representing the administration. Thank you. He is. You're right, but with under Faulkner and the way that different governments run, almost all the time, the business administration and council, because if you come asking questions about something that council,
We get shut down.
I've
been coming for 11 years, but I.
but the administrator can answer, although that's the administrator can't answer. This comes down.
I was just curious, yeah, I have a question.
It's a good meeting.
When do you have to meet?
You have to be
Well,
their first meeting.
I don't think. But I wouldn't. But I heard she said that everything closed down.
Why don't you just go on the when I'm tired, I'm going to the big state. Blue states, legalize pot, legalize shit. Well, here's the pot.
Yeah.
I just wanted to preach. You can take a piece of dope. And you blow. No matter what. It's it's not. It's hard to learn this stuff. It's, but it doesn't mean that there's. Listen, some so it's limitations. Those that do what they do, those that become a recipient. They want me. They told me you were. I know people. I'm going to be, obviously, reorganization. I'm going to go too. Right, over at their meetings, right? But you just but I haven't, when I have work, I back up to work. I've been sick. But I don't know who. Which is true.
Looks like you're working. You're one of the few people here that actually works. You're a reporter?
No, I'm working.
Oh, you work for the town? Happy
Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Aubrey Troxel. Mr. Isla. Present. Mr. Mercado.
Present.
Mr. Mignon.
Here.
Mr. Nash.
Here.
Mrs. Walters. Here. Mrs. Winters. Memo from Mayor David Mayer, Municipal Judge Ryan N. Trebosh, Municipal Engineer Remington and Burnick, municipal court prosecutor, a municipal prosecutor, Wade Long, Wood Long LLC. Municipal Labor Council, Archer Law. Municipal Bond Council, Parker McKay. Special Counsel, Special Litigation, Archer Law. Mustakas, Nelson Law. Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole, and Giblin LLP. Financial Advisor, Acacia Financial Group. Engineer of Sidewalks, Land Dimensions. Engineer of Streets, Remington and Vernick. Engineer of Recreation, Pettit Associates LLC. Engineer of Storm Drainage, Consulting Engineer Services. Energy Consultant, Blue Sky Power. Redevelopment Planner Architect, T&M Associates. Media Consultant, Blue Wire Media. Economic Development Consultant, Triad Associates. Redevelopment Engineer, Pettit Associates LLC. Land Use Attorney, Archer Law. Municipal Architect, J.F. McKernan Jr. Grants, CDBG Consultant, Triad Associates. Municipal Auditor, Bowman and Company. Municipal Prosecutor Defender, Glenn Leary. Substance Abuse Advocate, Genesis. Special Projects Engineer, Sickles and Associates. Tax Assessment, Tax Appeal Consultant, Professional Property Appraisers Incorporated. Environmental Engineer, CME Associates. Landscape Architect, CME Associates. Special Tax Appeal Consultant, DeFrancesco, Bateman, Kunzman, Davis, Lair, and Flum, PC, and Damon Tyner, LLC. Special Counsel Conflict Attorney, Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood, LLC. Reverse Tax Appeal Counsel, Blau and Blau. Municipal Planner, Remington and Vernick. Special Counsel for Redevelopment Areas, Spiro, Harrison, and Nelson, LLC. Conflict Engineer, Consulting Engineer Services. Sewer Consulting Engineer, Pinoni. Sewer Conflict Engineer, Bach Associates, PC. Sewer Solicitor, Wade Long, Wood and Long, LLC. Sewer Special Technical Engineer Consultant, Brick Engineering, LLC. Historic Architect, Westfield Architects and Preservation Consultants. Those were all professional services who will serve a one-year term. From Chief Harkins, Class 1 Special Officers, David Honey, Dave Maloney, Corinne Lewis, Brian Hahn, Tyler Kemery, Michael Gilbert, Tyler Schrader, MD Ahmed, Zanat Noor, William Franz, Derek Hagan, Stephanie Calderon, William Perna, Michael DiCamilla, Ryan Doubleman, Michael Crowley, Riker Farmer, Stephen Bonafonte, Nicholas Sinali, Owen Davenport, Brendan Quicka, Wyatt Kurtz, Christian Warren, and Sebastian Zapata. Joe Andricola, James Doherty, Chris Jones, Charles Doherty, Jose Melendez, Mike Elroy, Jason Gittens, and Edward Walter. Additionally, the following individuals will be sworn in as crossing guards: James Farino, Cristobal Rodriguez, Susan Van Ronigan, Regina Rillera, and Robin Spina. The below listed police chaplains and volunteers will be reappointed for their positions for 2025. Chaplains: Michael Mannion, Renee Canales, Richard Reed, Michael Williams, Kenneth Carpinelli, Pete Shoemaker, Jeremy Robinson, William Hampel. Volunteers: Frederick Frank, Susan Massaroba, Dennis Field, Michelle Beck, Kevin Davis, Robin Spina, Karen Maratea, Joanna Sorensen, Rosetta Linton, Joshua Lafferty, Deloria Walker, Salvatore Altamari, Ian Beck, Linda Flennard, Gabby Triplo, Louis Leone, Debbie Bios, Angela Oberholzer. Resolution 25-01-001, resolution establishing order of business for the Township of Gloucester.
May I have a motion
I'll make that motion.
Second.
on the question? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Albright Troxel.
Yes.
Ms. Grace Love.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Mr. Mignon.
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes, but I take exception on number 5 of anyone addressing council may speak one time.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Resolution 25-01-002, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, Camden County, New Jersey, establishing rules of order and conduct for all Township Council, regular work sessions, special meetings of the Township Council.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Albright Troxel.
Yes.
Ms. Grace Love.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Mr. Mignon.
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes, and
Mrs.
same as
Waltz?
above.
I'm sorry,
Yes, and same exception as above.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters. Resolution number 3, resolution designating the date, time, and place of council meetings for the year 2025 and authorizing and fixing charges on notice of meetings as required by the Open Public Meetings Act.
May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution 25-01-004, resolution authorizing the designation of newspapers to receive all notice of meetings as required under the Open Public Meetings Act.
May I have a motion, please?
Gonna make that motion?
Okay.
I'll second it.
Thank you. On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution 5, resolution establishing legal depositories for the Township of Gloucester.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash,
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution number 6, resolution designating signatories to general accounts for the Township of Gloucester.
May I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash,
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution number 7, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester adopting a cash management plan.
May I have a motion, please?
Make that motion.
Second?
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters. Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution 8, resolution for policies and procedures of the Office of the Tax Collector for the year 2025.
May I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution number 9, resolution of consent.
May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution number 10, resolution appointing the Gloucester Township Public Defender.
May I have a motion?
Make the motion.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel,
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love,
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Mercado.
Yes.
Resolution 11, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester County of Camden, authorizing the appointment of the municipal court judge.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
First and second. On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel.
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love.
Yes.
Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution number 12, resolution appointing the Gloucester Township Public Agency Compliance Officer.
May I have a motion? Excuse me, may I have a motion
I'll make that motion.
Second.
on the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 13, resolution appointing the Township Auditor.
May I have a motion, please?
I will make that motion.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 14, resolution appointing liaison to the Blackwood Lake Advisory Committee.
Councilwoman Winters, may I have a motion, please? On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 16, resolution appointing liaison to the Gloucester Township Housing Authority.
Ms. Fitzgerald.
Sorry.
That's good.
15, resolution appointing council liaison to the Gloucester Township Historic and Scenic Preservation Committee.
That's Councilman Nash, may I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 16, resolution appointing liaison to the Gloucester Township Housing Authority.
Councilwoman Grace Love, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 17, resolution appointing liaison to the Gloucester Township Advisory Committee for Recreation and Parks.
This is Vice President Leo, may I have a motion? On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 18, resolution appointing council liaison to the Gloucester Township Veterans Organization.
Councilwoman Waters, may I have a motion, please?
Okay, I'll second it.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 19, resolution appointing members to the Gloucester Township Dwelling Commission.
May I have a motion, please?
Make that motion.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
And we have an addendum of resolution appointing members to the Gloucester Township Zoning Board of Adjustment. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Before we close the resolutions, we have documentation, we approved resolution 25-003.
I do. Carolyn Grace first, you were second.
Thank you.
Yes.
Everybody good? All right. Now we go to our public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak, please raise your hand. Mr. Leader?
David Leader, Mendora. My first time coming to this kickoff event, and I thought the public would actually have a chance to say something about the documentation that was accompanying, but I guess not. So we are meeting at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Instead of 7:30.
7 o'clock, yes.
And
And workshops are at 6 o'clock.
you see that. And Did you consider my request to extending the public portion's time limit?
That was something, that we had discussed throughout the year, my colleagues and I, but the time remained the same. 15 minutes for the first public portion, 30 minutes for the second public portion, and there's still e-gov access emails that can be sent into council.
You know, I'm not saying any email goes in because you take my time away when I do. And now there's a limit that only one person can speak at each public times.
No, that's incorrect.
With a limit of one speaking opportunity.
You said one person.
Ah, I see. So one person can come back if there's no others.
They can speak in the first public portion one time, and the second public portion one time.
So you have limited the public's ability to speak to council.
No, incorrect. It gives people opportunity to speak. If there's other individuals that are just speaking during their time period.
Have you ever tried to accomplish anything in 3 minutes or 5 minutes? It's complex when you're verbally trying to talk to someone. It's impossible. I've been trying to do that for a year coming here.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, sir. So during this public portion, as we go through the new year, those first 3 minutes, you'll speak and council will respond at the end of the meeting.
The end of the meeting.
Yes.
So it's not actually a two-way dialogue, it's one way.
No, it's allowing you for your entire 3 minutes or entire 5
Oh, I
minutes.
see.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the person's comments, you'll respond, or at the end of the meeting?
That could be at the end of the comments or at the end of the meeting.
I see. Well,
And if
that's
you need
good.
some clarification, if someone has a clarifying point, they can ask that.
That's a good thing. Thank you. So you can't accomplish anything in 3 minutes.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Mr. Polidoro, followed by Mr. Sweet.
I just stayed home.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidor from the Historic Village of Ariel.
Good
I
evening.
wish you all a very happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Is there anything in the public portion where we get to speak that prohibits us from using video or audio presentation in what we are presenting to council? If we have something on our phone that we could bring, it is no different than bringing evidence to something, a point we're trying to prove, or something that we're not particularly against anybody, but a news article, whatever the case may be. I didn't see anything in Open Public Meetings Act that prohibits that. Is Gloucester Township more stringent than the Open Public Meetings Act regarding that?
So, Mayor.
So I have to tell you that it's a unique question. In my years, I've not seen it come up at this form of government or any other municipal meetings that I've attended. I would tend to think that what would control the use of an exhibit is how disruptive it is to the meeting. If you're holding up a cell phone, or if you need a board set up or something, you're still limited to your time that the structure is set forth. I can't recall anything, but I'll review it further. I've never seen it.
All right, was this supposed to be 5 minutes for a public portion, or did you limit this to 3 minutes?
At 3 minutes.
Okay, all right, so I remember when there was a time when council did not have a great dialogue. We appreciated the dialogue, it got heated, it got adventurous, and for the most part, for the public, it went well. I had no doubt that you were going to cut all that out and be the anti-transparent council president that you're capable of being. One person being able to speak one time within a 3 minute time period as the clock is running, and I appreciate Mr. Colomer's response. There was a time at the end of the night where you guys would absorb everything that was said, and then you get shoveled at and you take your digs at the public when everything was done if you didn't like what was said. The reason I'm asking about the video and audio is that if you take the opportunity to take digs at the public, we should be able to take the recordings that are public, that are open to the public, and bring that back to this meeting so that we can bring the words that you brought to us back to you, so that if you take digs at us like you did in the past, that we would be able to present the audio of what you had presented to us. no dialogue is not a good thing. It's anti-transparent. It basically is a tear at the public. I believe there was not all yes votes on that. I appreciate those that voted no for that. Maybe in time, when you see how much this won't work out, or we are going to need things on our behalf at the end of the night, you do answer. Not having dialogue is poor judgment. I got to imagine that, and again, addressing council president, and maybe the rest of you may not get the opportunity to ever have dialogue with us again. Maybe in the future you figure out that this doesn't work as well as you'd like, and the dialogue was a good thing. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. Please stay healthy and safe.
Mr. Sweet.
Happy New Year, everyone. Sam Sweet from Elizabeth over in Ariel. Don't show up for a couple of meetings, so we're changing the structure. Why are we limiting to one person, one speaking, one time?
So it gives an opportunity for more residents to speak. This is something that I have approached my colleagues on council about. I took a look at surrounding municipalities and how they constructed their meetings. You missed more than a few meetings, Sam, and that you have other obligations. The last few meetings, the way they have ran and have the interaction with the residents and council, I believe it gives an opportunity that if you wanted to have 3 minutes, you have 3 minutes of whatever you want to present, public comment to any concerns you may have. So whether it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes, unobstructed, no cross dialogue. And we have an opportunity to respond at the end. So when I took a look at these municipalities, Washington Township, Bedford Township, I looked up North, Montclair, Bridgewater, Brick, Toms River. I looked at municipalities that were Democratic controlled and Republican controlled. I took a look at their meetings and how they ran. I watched their meetings. And what I realized, there are only one public portion in the 8 of the 10 municipalities I looked at. And the public portion was held at the end of the meeting. Not an opportunity for people to speak about the agenda. The agenda was passed, and then they went into other information, and then there was a public portion at the end, and everything was done, said and done. So here is still an opportunity for people to comment on the public agenda portion, and then comment at the end any concerns they may have, and they're just limited to one time coming up. They can still max out at 8 minutes. And if there's an ordinance, a second reading, as you well know, that time is unlimited.
Understood. However, there are times.
And we still have ego.
Okay, but you're limiting us to our egos, because if I write an ego question, you're going to take that public portion away. My public portion, if I happen to write an ego question on whatever, it's because I'm not sure if I'm going to make the meeting, and if I make the meeting, then you're going to take my public portion away. You made that rule earlier in the summer, correct?
No, that was done at the beginning of the year when we had reorganization.
Okay, so
If you send an e-gov and you're in the audience, I give you the opportunity to read your e-gov or have me read it, but it will count towards your portion.
okay,
But
but
the e-gov is for individuals that do not have an opportunity to come to the council meeting because they can't make the meeting.
okay, just because other council meetings are run that way doesn't mean that we should change the way we've been running it. Other council meetings, the mayor stays on board and can be asked questions as well. But our mayor doesn't show up for our council meetings unless you guys are being sworn in or there's a photo opportunity. He's not here right now.
We have a different form of a municipality. There are mayors, okay, in Washington Township, okay, their form of government, the mayor is part of that meeting. In Bedford Township, the mayor is part of that meeting. The mayor is not part of our meetings here, the way our rule of municipality form of government.
Okay, but you're pointing out that other townships, are, doing these things these ways and how we're going to do them. Now, pointing them out, but their meetings are run separately, differently as well. So why don't we making the mayor part of our meeting now. And so forth, and I understand that, I know, but just limiting a person to one time and changing it, just because you guys don't like what we have to say?
No, it's not
Or-
because of that.
you said that, if you go
No.
rewind the tape, you said the last couple meetings, back and forth, all right? And the only time that we've been allowed to speak twice is when everyone else has spoken. If there's been, we have 15 minutes, 3 minutes is 5 people can speak. If there's a meeting where there's only 2 people that speak, and then I have questions on something that Mr. Cardis, said to another person, and I need clarification, and I've already spoken, I should be allowed to come back up. If 5 other people want to speak, then that's fine, I'll get clarification elsewhere. But I should be able to allow to be spoken to, or allowed to speak more than once if time allots, and if there's not enough people to speak. And to change it, I think is a violation of our constitutional rights. And you just stood up here and said it is a violation of our constitutional rights. And you stood up here and swore in the Bible and said, I will uphold the Constitution. And neither of you are. All of council is not right now. By limiting our ability to speak to you, you're limiting it.
Your time is up. Thank you very much.
You're violating the Constitution.
Ms. Ferris.
I possibly think that why you're
Can we have
doing,
your name and address?
I'm
please?
sorry, Danny Paris, and I live in Clementon, New Jersey. I possibly believe you're doing this because you don't know how to answer anybody properly, and nobody gets an answer from anybody up here. So you're limiting it so that people that ask one question and want another question answered, you're not giving them the opportunity. But that's not my question for now. My question is, what was the resolution establishing order of business for the Township of Gloucester? Did you answer that? You just voted it in? What was that about? That was 001.
It has the order of our business, the township.
Oh, okay. And 002, establishing rules and order of conduct. What's that going to be? You didn't answer what they are. You just read it off and everybody voted for it, except for Mr. Nash, who decided to stay with it and say no to it.
Okay.
So what was it?
They are posted on the agenda there. It's our rules of order for our meeting and also rules of conduct.
So you don't have time to discuss it with the residents who pay a large amount of money for this township? Especially for the American water that you wanted to push in here, that's totally poisoned water. Did you read the news about American water and aqua water? They're both poisoned water. So people, please, residents, township clerks and township council, make sure you're drinking bottled water and not just any bottled water, essentials, core, or smart water, because everything else is from sewer to steam. Okay, and that's from my education of my bachelor's and master's degree, because that's got 9.5 purified water. American water and aqua water is totally poisoned water. So make sure that the mayor knows that also, that he's working for a company that's giving out poisoned water. Number 3, if a newspaper can have our news in it, why can't Gloucester Township Patch have it ahead of time? It's just the newspaper?
Yes,
And it can't be the Patch, or could it be on TV?
it has to be a circulation.
Okay. And my third question is, I asked Michelle Winters, you always have a priest and you always have a pastor. Why can't you get a rabbi in here for people that are Jewish?
So we have a ministerium that's part of our religious leaders in town,
Right, but there's a lot of Jewish people in this town.
and anyone can be part of that.
Right,
And they come from the ministerium. The ministerium selects who is going to give the invocation.
right, but ministeriums are ministers and pastors.
No.
There's no rabbis in a minister.
Be part of the ministerium.
Rabbis,
We
pure
have-
rabbis are not in minister.
People of faith.
Okay,
Okay, so there is a group of people of faith, the head of congregations,
and where is this
that
place?
they meet,
Where is it?
and they meet here in the township, I believe, every other month. They meet
Where?
with the mayor, in the mayor's office.
So when can I go
So,
to
Ms. Danny,
talk to
I'm
them?
Ms. Dennis, I'm going to complete my
Go ahead.
sentence and then you're done your time,
Okay,
okay? I will ask them if they could possibly reach out to a rabbi, or if you have someone to suggest, we'll be more than happy to have a rabbi give the invocation.
Well, I'd like to
Thank
find
you very
out.
much
You
for your
can
time.
find out for me. Thank you.
I will. Ms. Gordon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Denise Coyne, Choose Landing.
Happy New Year.
Happy. I want to speak about the changes to these meetings that limit opportunities for back and forth conversation between the residents and the people elected to serve them. These changes feel like a step farther away from transparency and accountability. It's a new year and people learned a lot of important lessons last year. We learned that things are not always as they seem and that finding the truth is crucial. The focus should be on building trust between the people and the representatives we elect to answer us and to do what is best for us in the interest of our community. Limiting transparency only benefits those who do not like the questions being asked and don't want the public to know the truth. Providing answers to the public should not be a difficult task if what is being done is just. The thousands of views a recent video received are proof that people are paying attention to what happens in this room. The defeat of the sewer referendum is proof that the people will show up to the polls and protect what belongs to them, and that a few, quote, classless little friends, as we've been called, can educate the masses and earn the respect of the people. The more you try to limit transparency, the louder our voices will become. Our right to question our government is worth protecting. We, as taxpayers and voters, have a right to question and expect answers. Shutting down dialogue won't stop us from speaking out. We will continue to demand transparency and accountability, and we will keep educating the community about the issues that matter, whether it's here, online, or elsewhere. I urge you to think carefully about what kind of leadership you want to show. Know that we did not give you permission to rule us. You cannot silence us, and know that the people will hold you accountable the only way we can, at the polls on election day. And I also want to make a comment that you have revised rules of order and rules of conduct, but there's no rules of conduct for council. Why is that?
Rules of conduct for council, can you
Yes.
explain?
Yeah, like we're not allowed to be loud or boisterous or use foul language or disrupt the meeting, but you guys could scream at us. You can make, little comments like classless little friends and things like that, but we can't do that to you. So there should be rules of conduct for council also, where you're not allowed to disrespect us. You're not allowed to scream at us. You're not allowed to disrespect us, and you're not allowed to disrupt the meeting. Isn't that fair?
I'll take that under consideration.
Thank you.
Anyone else that has not spoken? We'll close the public portion.
Can I say something?
Polling up. You were doing that?
Yeah, I just want to say one
Well,
thing.
we're gonna,
I've never heard anybody up here on council yell at anybody. I haven't heard them yell.
Yes,
I heard them respond.
hold on, please no yelling from the audience.
That was just my point.
Thank you very much.
I've never yelled at anybody. I don't intend.
You have.
I never.
Polling directors, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Happy New Year, everybody. Have a great night and great week.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and if you voted for me, I appreciate it. If you didn't, I hope to gain your trust and your confidence, and transparency is something that the law requires us to do, so I believe that we are following the laws. If I didn't think we were, I would not have voted for any of it. And so I think we have to understand more deeply about what transparency is and how it's accomplished. But, thank you all for coming. Mrs. Grace Love?
Just want to, excuse me, congratulate those who have councilmen and women who have been sworn in today. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone has a great year. Keep prayer up for those in New Orleans. And I just just want, again, to focus on peace and focus on prosperity and focus on getting the work done for Gloucester Township. This is a great council I have had opportunity to work with, and I appreciate them. It's a hard job, and sometimes it's disheartening when you know you are a public servant and you want to do your best, but it's always a negative environment where we need to work together more. We really need to come together and get the work done for Gloucester Township. And again, everyone have a great holiday, New Year.
Mr. Nash?
I just want to say thanks for coming out. I do want to give a special happy birthday to my buddy Brian. It's his 16th birthday today. And he decided to spend it with us at council, so thanks, Brian. Happy birthday.
Mrs. Walters?
Congratulations to the student tonight, and happy New Year, and have a
Mrs. Winters?
Congratulate Helen. Stay. Wish everyone a happy and healthy New Year. Happy birthday, Brian. And have a great.
Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Congratulations, Helen. 20 years ago, in the summer of 2005, Helen and her husband held an event for me. I was running for election by myself to fill an unexpired term. And I remember the kindness and work that she showed to me and has shown over the last 20 years. So congratulations, Helen. Well deserved.
Thank
And congratulations, Michael, on being vice president again. You're a great wingman, and the work that you do here is very appreciated. So I appreciate that. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All those in favor? Have a great evening, everyone.
Well, you're supposed to answer the question at the end, right? Because he wasn't answering the questions. No, you're supposed to answer at the end.